4th Annual National Conference on Migration, organized jointly by the Center for Migration Policy and Inclusive Governance, International Institute of Migration and Development, and the Institute for Multidisciplinary Program in Social Sciences. This conference, themed Interstate Migration in India, Challenges and Opportunities, seeks to unravel the complexities of internal migration in our country, highlighting the socio-economic, cultural, and legal challenges migrants face. Through this platform, we aim to foster productive discussions and explore actionable solutions for the welfare and integration of migrant workers.
Now, moving to the inaugural session, we are privileged to have the presence of distinguished personalities to guide this significant dialogue. To begin, I invite Professor P.P. Nausha, Joint Director, IMPSS, to deliver the welcome address.
Hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Yes. A very good morning to all. Today, we are assembled here for the 2-day conference on interstate migration in India, challenges and opportunities. This workshop is organized by jointly organized by International Institute of Migration and Development, Center for Migration Policy and Inclusive Governance, and Institute for Multidisciplinary Programs in Social Sciences, Mahatma Gandhi University. At the outset, let me welcome you all to this function, to the inaugural function of this workshop. As we all know, migration is one among the most happening areas of social sciences. And the specific theme of this conference is interstate migration in India, challenges and opportunities. And we know that the process of migration is a very complex process, where we have different elements, different types, and different factors affecting migration. And of course, the interstate migration in India is not a new phenomenon, but still there are different ups and downs, different challenges and opportunities from time to time and place to place with regard to interstate migration. And of course, there are other complex issues with regard to migration, especially when we talk about the context of Kerala. The educational migration or student migration is another area of focus. And we have a project with regard to issues of access to healthcare system of interstate migrants in Kerala, which was funded by ACERP. And there are several other issues associated with migration, especially interstate migration. And there are actually one major issue is the negative stereotyping on interstate migrants. We normally call all the migrants as Bengalis. So this itself is a stereotyping. And sometimes even we attribute the criminal behavior and all to the interstate migrants. These are all negative stereotyping with regard to migration or interstate migration. And another thing is actually we know that there are intersectionality of caste, gender, and other types of discrimination towards the interstate migration. So we actually experienced in the last 2 years through our fieldwork, we experienced all these issues with regard to interstate migration, and that experience actually motivated us to conduct this type of workshop. I don't want to elaborate. My duty is to welcome this gathering. And first of all, I welcome our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor C.P. Arvind. Sir, as we all know, he is our own member, and he is also an investigator with us in our SCRP research project on interstate migration. And he is also senior professor of School of Environmental Sciences, and he is our honorable vice chancellor. On behalf of the organizing committee and all who are assembled here, I extend a warm welcome to Professor Siddharth. And we have fortunate to have Professor S. Iruderajan. He is actually a well-known expert in migration, and we had interaction with him yesterday also. He is currently serving as the head of the International Institute of Migration and Development. Also, formerly, for the last 4 decades, he was serving in Center for Development Studies and working in the area of migration. Whenever you search a key term related to migration or migration and research, the first name is Professor Iruderajan's name. So last 40 years, he's working. Maybe in 1980s, he started his work with migration. And at that time, yesterday he told us that at that time only around very few people working on migration. Now research on migration is a fashion because everyone are doing research on migration, but still Iruderajan is a unique among these stars of migration. He will chair today's welcome session, and I wholeheartedly welcome Professor Iruderajan. And we have Professor Ravi Raman. He is an expert member of State Planning Board, and also he was formerly a senior fellow at the Nehru Memorial Museum and Library. He was also a director of Institute of Applied Manpower Research Planning Commission and visiting fellow, honorary associate in Oxford, Cambridge, Manchester, and SOAS. So he has contributed widely in top-ranking journals, including Harvard, Cambridge journals such as Business History Review and Cambridge Journal, Regions, Economy, and Society. I welcome Professor Ravi Raman to this as a key speaker of this conference. I also welcome Professor C. Vinodan. He is the head of the Department of School of International Relations and Politics, and also a well-known expert in the area of area studies as well as international relations. His presence, and he's also a part of this organizing committee. And I welcome Professor Vinodan to this function. And we have Dr. Baiju K.R. He is a famous environmentalist. He is working on disaster management and other areas. He is also a member syndicate of Mahatma Gandhi University and also Dean of Faculty of Environmental Sciences. He will felicitate this inaugural function. I welcome Baiju K.R. And we have Dr. Sunita S. She is from Institute for Migration and Development. He's senior data analyst, and I welcome Sunida also to this function. I also welcome all the delegates. We have senior professors, including Professor A.M. Thomas and all other dignitaries on and off the dais. I welcome you all once again to this function. Thank you. Thank you all.
Next, I have the honor of inviting Professor S. Iruday Rajan, Chair of IMAR, to chair the session and share his invaluable perspectives on the importance of migration studies in today's context.
എല്ലാവർക്കും നമസ്കാരം. Good morning to all. Respected Chair, Professor Rajan, Professor Ravi Raman, other colleagues, and my dear friends. Well, I'm very sure none of you expect me to talk about migration studies and different aspects of migration. Maybe I can talk about migratory birds. I know one bird, migratory bird, which every year they fly almost about 65,000 kilometers, right from Arctic to Antarctic. So 6 months, they take about 6 months to reach Antarctic and then start back. They don't rest much, start back to Arctic. So 65, almost about 65,000. Well, we can't do that. But migration, I never knew that migration studies are so important until the age of 2021, when I was a student of MSc in Pune University, where one of my close friends, he was a PhD student at that time, and he was doing research, migration. And I was one of his associates to help him to have this kind of survey. And the survey was migration of Kerala to Pune and Gulf countries. And I asked him that why did you take this Pune and Gulf countries? And he told me he's a Malayali. He said, since I'm working here, so it's very easy to get data, collect data on airlines to Pune, and then I have a plan to go to Gulf country to work, so I can get again some data from Gulf countries. Well, that was the beginning, and then by the time he completed his study, he got an invitation from United Nations to talk about that time. It was 1988 to talk about migration and different aspects of migration. Of course, well, that is just I just remember the importance of that topic. But coming to Kerala, as such, although we were always talking about our migration to other countries, we never had a subject of migration from other places to Kerala, because Kerala was actually a homogeneous society. Even now it is almost like that, but still, at least in the last 20 years, especially in the last 10 years or so, we have to discuss about migration of people to Kerala. So migration from Kerala and migration to Kerala. And the question is whether we are completely prepared to follow the kind of regulations and rules which is being followed in developed countries in the case of migration. So again, I think that this is in the preliminary stage. Even as Naushad pointed out, that we have a common project. I am also part of it from SERV, migration of the health aspect of the migrant workers in Kerala. When we started looking at it and also analyzing the issues, that we realized that there are a lot of things that we have to develop right from regulation. Although we have some regulations, but the health aspect and social aspect and economic aspect and so on. So this is a very important area that we have to work. We have a responsibility to develop certain framework, and we have to probably help the government to develop this kind of framework. So this is one of the areas where definitely we have to contribute a lot, particularly to the university sector. And of course, I congratulate this department for taking up such issues. We also realize that we don't have, although we talk about it, we don't have studies, authentic studies. It's actually, represent the issues of migration to Kerala and so on. So I wish all the very best for the program and declare that this is over. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your inspiring and thought-provoking words. It is with great honor that I invite Professor Dr. Iride Rajan, Chair, the National Institute of Migration and Development, to chair this session.
Thank you very much. I request Dr. Bijilal, Chairperson of the CMPIG, to talk about the program.
There are several ways of introducing this program, and the most important is to talk about how this program evolved. This is actually the hard work of so many students who are relentlessly been here assisting in framing as well as inviting abstracts, even all these logistics and other arrangements. This actually happened because of this in this way. And it's also very significant that for the past few years, especially since we started this program about the Government of India program on this access to healthcare systems to migrant workers in Kerala, I think this tendency for students to get associated with a kind of field-based knowledge is becoming very strong. And from this university and many other parts of the India, we have interns, distant as well as direct. Being part of this, not less than 60 to 70 people are part of this. We have done so many training sessions, and this all because of this continuous fraternity from various partners of ours. Some of them are already here sitting and attending as resource persons also. So this is actually a kind of a representation of the work that we have been doing as a university, as a center for the especially for governance related issues in this in the state government as well as the central government and sometimes with the international agencies. So our Vice Chancellor was talking about birds that migrate. This is also a very important title in migration studies. In 1981, there's a title called, Birds of Passage. The Birds of Passage actually talks about how this conventional ways of looking at migration in the push and pull related economistic determination in the disciplinary realms of migration has to be replaced with larger ideas of social science. And there the determination is very significant. And now we identify, for example, that we do a problem about Dr. Naushad was talking about as Bengali connotation as something. This we call as a kind of a unitary trouble. That without understanding the real situation, the basics of things, in the popular realm, as well as in people who are actually educated and otherwise also, they tend to reduce this diversity into a framing of a convenient kind of an obscene kind of a reference. In Delhi, it's Bihari. Here it is this thing. Someone else is something else. So it's not a kind of identity. For example, it's actually a very, very bad social practice. It's a most diluted way in which in a kind of local xenophobic kind of activities are taking place. So we are actually looking in this conference about how justice systems can be activated. And if you can look at the program note, there is something very specific that we are talking about how data-driven solutions can be encouraged for the social security of workers. This is something that actually we are doing. We are doing. So I wanted to post something very clear about how these efforts. I'm not talking about the central aspects of the project or something like that. What we are talking about is about how students were motivated into their social action, about developing social advocacy skills. In this department itself, there are two students who are sitting here. They have successfully done a kind of advocacy to influence the labor department, and they have been successful in getting a wage theft issue being resolved in a consistent way of this thing. So there were issues like even the Vice Chancellor is aware that how we actually kind of entered into the university camp where the workers are living, and we made several interventions to see that some kind of attention is there. We start things from our own home. So this is, I think, very significant in the way of living and working situations. How rights are being rights are being protected. How this basic human kind of basic essential things for human listing has been there. And also, we were talking about from a larger federal perspective. We are talking about how portability of rights can be made possible. And we had a conference last year about with 44 different officers, and how this, and we are also cooperating with so many other institutions who are providing education, help in terms of legal aid, and so many other trade unions, other kind of business, all part of the center that we are into. So this is something we are actually talking about. This is in the context of how we define citizenship from a progressive angle of not being something the natural citizen kind of this thing. I would refer here the significant note left by Saila Ben Habib, who talks about how this citizenship is actually a formal citizenship, which is an ornamental kind of citizenship, and a real citizenship that talks about how rights can be realized. So this will be something very significant, like in the so-called Western societies. Somebody like Habermas would talk about the legitimation crisis, about how much the citizen is seen by the state. For us in India, I would definitely say that almost 65 crores of people who are in the move always for eking a livelihood are actually actually facing a legitimation trouble from their side because of the political and other forms of invisibility they are in. In Kerala, you can see that provided several situations of social and economic other kind of facilities and advantages to around 25 lakhs of people here are having a so-called better life. But we have seen that how difficult at times for people to survive. Through the life of human persons here, what we are actually doing is to do a journey towards the status of citizenship in India. So we are studying, and Professor Naushad had very clearly talked about how the intersections are coming, and we are also looking into this and looking at from different perspectives. And this is what we are doing a collaboration, including IMAD. They have lent an immense support to us in terms of connecting our work with various other institutions and things like that. So I would place a very special note to Professor Rajan and his colleagues for making this program. During this planning, this actually happened about 6 months before. So this has come to a kind of conclusion in this way. So I would say that this is okay, thank you. I would give a very special mention to several delegates who had taken the pain to come over here, and they are from different states. And Vice Chancellor was mentioning about the Pune-based study. There is one student here presenting almost the same thing. Now, so you have several people coming over with very interesting topics that will also be a cross-section analysis of citizenship crisis in India in a different manner. So with this, I wind up, and this is something that we are talking about how the vulnerability and the precarity, all types of commonly used easy words have a deeper meaning in the sense of rights analysis and beyond that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Chilla, for your invaluable remarks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bijilal. And before I start, I would like to thank the university, especially the Vice Chancellor, for being with us on this inaugural meeting. In fact, when we signed the MOU, we were looking to sign a MOU between IMAD and MG University. We were thinking what activity we can start. When I spoke to Bijilal, let us do a seminar this year, because every year we do a seminar on internal migration. This is our 4th seminar, so shall we do it along with MG University? He has agreed, so all of us are here. So I want to thank officially the University, Bijilal and the Vice Chancellor and everybody present here for accommodating this conference here. Now, I just want to make a few points, before we invite Professor Ravi Raman, Vinodan and Paiju to the dais to facilitate. I think one of the important point is that this is interstate migration seminar. And in fact, the conference title is Interstate Migration in India, Challenges and Opportunities. Unfortunately, we always talk about challenges, but we never talk about opportunities. Oh, they are coming and taking our job. Kerala people will say that there were diseases that were eradicated, now they are coming here. So we always talk about challenges, but not about opportunities. I think this seminar should bring the opportunities of people moving within the country. Opportunities, don't blame them. Don't reserve the job for locals. I think the opportunity can be really utilized. I think that should be the focus of the seminar. That's why when we talk about demographic dividend, which the country is talking about, that is the first demographic dividend. But the second demographic dividend which is coming up in Kerala state is migration. First is happening in the other part of the country, but second is happening here. It's happening in Kerala, it's happening in Tamil Nadu, it's happening in West Bengal. So now everybody is running after the first demographic dividend, including the Prime Minister of India. We have to start thinking about the second demographic dividend where people will move left and right. I think that is the context we should look at this seminar. And when you look at it, the problem in our country is that whenever we talk about interstate migration, the first thing is we have no data. This I always talk every place. We are walking in the darkness. We have policies both in the country and in the Kerala state without evidence. This is the only area we do policies without evidence. That we have seen during COVID-19. When the country was put lockdown, there was no evidence for them. There are millions of migrants are in different states of India. There was nobody to advise the Prime Minister that please don't do it within 4 hours. There was no advisor for him with migration studies. They are only economic advisors, not even labor advisors. And that time, everybody advised him was a medical doctors. And if you go to the doctor, you have a fever, he say isolate him. And the doctor advised the Prime Minister isolate the whole country. That is called lockdown, without knowing the implication of the migration. That's why COVID was health crisis, but the policy we did led to the migration crisis. There is no migration crisis, not like Europe or refugee crisis, or we are not talking about war crisis. It was a normal situation. But we, because of our policies, we converted into the migration crisis. I think that we should keep in mind. After the census, you have no data. After 2011 census, we were talking about census. Now, my estimate is now we have 600 million people in the country are living in a place they are not born, which includes most of you. And 200 million people are actually migrant workers. This is the number which I was talking during COVID-19. And somebody told me you are given highest number. I said somebody want to protest, they can protest, but nobody could protest. The number now, people are using this number now. There was nothing is there. And Kerala, again, number is floating. Ravi Raman might give some number, somebody will give me some number. But all numbers are not estimates. All numbers are not estimates. These are all guesstimates, I call them. People guess. People guess. That's what the Ministry of External Affairs were guessing. Prior to the war, if you go to the MEE website, there are only 4,000 Indians are in those countries which they had a war. And after the war is over, All students came back. And our external affairs minister went to parliament. He said, I brought 22,000 people. I told them, you put only 4,000. You are wrong 4 times. Ministry of External Affairs. Then Planning Board, Kerala State, you don't need to know. Same thing. Only some numbers are floating around, but nobody has any number. Somebody will say, so many people are coming by train. Train, everybody travels. I also travel. I am not a migrant. But people are using several ways to estimate interstate migration. There is no clear-cut methodology of how many people from other states are here for work, who are long-term migrant, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Somebody came for short time. You see them, somebody when they are constructing the metro here in Kochi. You don't see them now. They are all constructing metro in some other states. It's like floating migrants. So we don't have the number. I have some concept to give some numbers. According to the KMS 2023, we have 3 million Malayalis who are supposed to be here. They are outside. Close to 2 million people are working in the Gulf and other countries, and 1 million people within the country. You add this 3 million. Out of that, 3.5 to 4 lakhs are student migrants. They are not labor migrants. And then somebody accompanying the wives and children, if you exclude all of them, I would put probably 2 million people from other states are here. I don't call them labor migrant. I call them replacement migration. Kerala plumber is in Dubai. We are getting plumber from Orissa. Very simple, straightforward concept. Kerala fellow who used to pluck our coconut tree, he is now in Saudi Arabia getting beaten up by the Saudis. We are getting somebody from Northeast coming and plucking coconut, and he is making, I met one of the plucking man. He said, sir, every tree I get 100 rupees. How many tree you climb? Sometimes I get 3,000, 5,000. So he is earning close to 1.5 lakh, which is much higher than the basic pay scale of the 7th pay commission. And he is only 3rd standard fail. But this job they will not do. All the people are going there and getting beaten up, and they will say, oh, we are not treated well in Gulf, Malayalis. But here, we have to treat them. If they don't come and pluck your coconut tree, the coconut will fall on your head, then you may die. You need them. And the coconut tree fellow will give you a appointment. He will tell you, sir, can you come? You ask him. He said, sir, I am fixed for so many days. I will come to your house on next week, Tuesday. Then people take a leave and wait for the man and get the coconut tree. But if you want a bypass surgery today, you can get it done within half an hour. But plucking coconut from your house, the reality of the Kerala state. So we call them replacement migrant. I think we need some studies on that. We need to look at the concept itself. Yes, we used to talk about replacement fertility in demography. I think replacement migration will be something important. And the second thing I just wanted to make that we have conferences coming up. I see a lot of conferences. But we don't want our conferences with the IMAD when we do with other places. We want to do it based, after the conference, we want to come back with a output-based quality conference. We don't want melas here. I told Vijay also, I want some 25, 30 people who speak and they work on, and we should bring out the output of the conference. And I just want to tell you, the last 4 years of the IMAD collaboration with different places, we have brought out a special issue with Economic and Political Weekly, 2 weeks. We brought out, already published in Journal of Ethnic and Migration Studies, GEMS, published by Taylor and Francis. It's already out. We have brought out a special issue with South Asian diaspora, already out. And we are currently working on Global Food Security Elsevier Journal, already out. And then we are currently working on Journal of Social Economic Development with ISEC Bangalore, Springer Journal. But on migration, this is the 4th conference. Please remember, we have 4th conference, we have done already 1, 2, 3. One was a starting conference. Second conference we did with the IIT Hyderabad. Based on the conference, we brought out 2 special issues. Already published, it is available for people to read. One is Journal of Human Development, one is Urbanization. Last year conference we did on climate change and migration with the Institute of Management in Bangalore. We have 2 special issues currently progressing. One on climate development, one on regional environment change based on the conference paper. We are not editing books. Here today people don't want to write article for books, we have special issues. So I would like to look at all the papers. I think with the support of the team here and even some resource persons sitting here, we should think of at least 2 special issues should come out based on the conference paper. I think that is what I would like to see the output of this conference. Not everybody came, spoke, you clap the hands, you eat well, move around Kerala and go back. No. Please do some good work. We want to read all of your paper and we want to publish in a special issue journal. Maybe in 2026 or 25 it will happen. I'll stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you for your enriching insights that set the stage for meaningful discussion over the next hours. Dr. Sunita, ma'am, please occupy the seat on dais and apologize for going you late.
On this special occasion, it is my honor to invite our distinguished guests to deliver their felicitation. Firstly, I invite Professor Ravi Raman, member of the State Planning Board, to share his thoughts and raise this event with his inspiring words.
Yeah, thanks. I think I have a session here immediately after this, so I will deliver that talk. But one thing that I just wanted to say is that it seems that we, the migrants, lag behind the birds, because birds are so certain when they really wanted to fly back. But I don't think that we, the migrants, are not sure, when really we wanted to go back to the point of origin. So I think that we will have a wonderful discussion here. Thanks, all the best.
Thank you, sir. Now I welcome Professor C. Vinodam, the respected Director of School of International Relations and Politics, Mahatma Gandhi University, to deliver his presentation.
Esteemed Vice Chancellor, Professor C.T. Aravind Kumar, Professor Iridarai Rajan, Professor Ravi Raman, dear colleagues and my dear students and participants from different parts of the state and different parts of the country. So, on behalf of the School of International Relations and Politics, I extend you a hearty welcome to this program again. And this is a very important program, as already mentioned by Professor Rajan. We have the legendary speaker to speak about these issues. And I request all of you to make use of his presence here, and also Professor Ravi Raman is also will be participating in their program. They are all expert in this field. And also, one point I have 3 minutes allotted, but I would like to say 1 minute. If you, in my experience, the migrant labor issues exposed to the world or the national level or the policy level during the pandemic period. The Kerala was the model, to somewhat a model in managing the migrant laborers. That means Kerala is emerging as a model to India in managing these migrant laborers in India, thanks to Professor Iridarai Rajan's intervention, policy intervention, and the planning board, Professor Abhiraman and a lot of others, Professor Adlal and others, for taking this initiative in dealing with the migrant laborers issue. So there are lot needed to be done. If you compare with other countries, how the urbanization is happening. Just in India, we have started the urbanization process. We are in the march towards modernization and urbanization. That means more migrant labor issues will be coming in the next decade. So this is an issue for the future. So I request all of you to take seriously these studies, and I wish all success to this conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Sivanathan. Lastly, I have the privilege to welcome Dr. Vijay K.R., Syndicate Member, Mahatma Gandhi University, to offer his words of encouragement and support.
Good morning. Respected Vice Chancellor, Professor C.T. Aravind Kumar, Professor Iridarai Rajan, Professor Ravi Varman, and my colleagues on the dais and experts of the dais and dear participants. Actually, as Vice Chancellor has pointed out, I am also from a different field. When I think about migration, it means dynamicity. Since I'm a student of science, especially earth science, earth is dynamic since there is migration of elements, migration of compounds, migration of many things has happened. So migration is the heart of the life of earth. Migration is everywhere. From science to social science, migration become some problems or makes problems. I think like this, why migration is happening? Migration is happening when there is some sort of inequilibrium is there. When there is any type of inequilibrium is there, migration will happen, as in case of many chemical substances. When there is inequilibrium, this migration happens or change happens. Similarly in human beings also, when there is some economic, some social, some religious, any type of inequality, inequilibrium is there, they try to migrate for a equilibrium position. That is there everywhere. As Sapiens says, as Sapiens book says, that migration is the what is called the soul of humankind. And agriculture is a fraud thing that developed in the humanity. That is Sapiens says. My thought is also like that, because there is dynamicity of there is inequilibrium in some sort of equilibrium is there. It will happen. I have some examples that we were working on Putical landslide, on the social aspects of Putical landslide. I have a project, and we could see is that many people who lives nearby the landslides, not they are not affected by the landslide, but the nearby places they are coming down. They are coming to the urban areas. They are leaving their place there because of the fear. So climate change. Climate change is another major cause of migration that we all have to think about. Due to climate change, as Arvind sir pointed out, or not due to climate change, due to the habitat changes, these birds are flying. Similarly, human beings are also migrating. Human beings once migrated to the floodplains. Now it is a problem. Now it is making disasters. So this type of changes are there. So this is a vast. What I know is this is a vast area of knowledge that we have to collect. So this type of conferences is good for our society. So I wish all for this national seminar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to the conclusion of our inaugural ceremony, I invite Dr. Sunita S., Senior Data Analyst at IMA, to deliver the vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am.
Respected dignitaries and dais, esteemed guest delegates, faculties, students, and all present. Good morning, everyone. It is an immense honor and privilege to extend a heartfelt vote of thanks on behalf of the organizing committee for the inaugural session of the 4th Annual National Conference on Migration, Interstate Migration in India, Challenges and Opportunities, jointly organized by the International Institute of Migration and Development, IMAD, the Center for Migration Policy and Inclusive Governance, CMPIG, and the Institute for Multidisciplinary Programs in Social Sciences, IMPSS, at Mahatma Gandhi University. First and foremost, I extend our sincere gratitude to our distinguished chief guest, Professor C.T. Aravind Kumar, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Mahatma Gandhi University, for gracing this occasion and inspiring us with his thoughtful inaugural address. Then our deepest appreciation goes to Professor S. Irudirajan, Chair of IMAD, for sharing his visionary insights and for his untiring commitment to the migration studies. Our thanks also goes to Professor P.P. Naushad, Joint Director of IMPSS, for the warm words of welcome, and to Dr. Bijulal MB, Chairperson, CMPIG, and Director of IMPSS, for the insightful introduction to this conference and its objectives. We are especially thankful to Professor Devi Raman, member of Kerala State Planning Board, for his kind felicitation and for reminding us of the policy relevance of our discussions. We also appreciate the encouraging words from Professor C. Vinodhan, Director SIRB, and Dr. Baiju KR, Syndicate Member, NG University. Then I would like to acknowledge the efforts of the organizing committee, organizing teams from IMAD, SIRP, CMPIG, and IMPSS, who have worked tirelessly to ensure the seamless execution of this event. Finally, my heartfelt thanks to all the participants, academicians, researchers, policymakers, and students whose enthusiasm and contributions will undoubtedly make this conference a vibrant platform for knowledge exchange. Let us carry the inspiration from this inaugural session into the deliberations and discussions over the next 2 days. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sunita. Thank you to all the esteemed dignitaries for honoring us with your presence and for sharing your insights with us. Now I invite all the participants to come forward for a group photo.
We have a group photo, please come in time. And we have a double photo. We got up. You can also come in. As we can take a photo. And then we have to keep like when we are coming back. Please come, please come.